Arizona isn't known as a big oil-producing state, but the majority of oil development that does exist is on native land.
Cronkite News reporter Lillian Donahue takes us to some of the oil fields in northeastern Arizona to learn more about the industry's mixed legacy on the Navajo Nation.
The small Navajo community of Red Valley is nestled between a rugged mountain pass and the New Mexico state border. It's here that there are more oil rigs than gas stations. And this is the place where Navajo community member ROBYN Jackson is paying close attention to nearby oil and gas extraction with the environmental group DINE.
This region is home to me. Whatever happens on the mountain is going to affect our Navajo communities.
The region has historically been one of the only oil-producing areas in the state.
I'm here on Arizona's largest oil field, the DINE oil field, also known as the People's Field. It's nestled deep inside this mountainside outside of Red Valley, Arizona. Now, since its discovery in the 1960s, according to the Environmental Information Administration, it has produced 19 million barrels of crude oil.
Over decades, oil and gas drilling across the Navajo Nation has left a mixed legacy. In the 1920s, it was because of oil companies that the Navajo Nation tribal government was formed.
There had to be an approval process for the oil and gas leases, for the permits to drill. And so the Navajo Nation Council was formed, and they're the ones that approved some of the first leases.
However, community members in Red Valley have concerns about the environmental and health impacts of possible contamination from oil and gas extraction.
People up here do complain about headaches, they complain about noise, they complain about traffic from the trucks, they complain about, they're concerned about their water.
The Louisiana-based company Capital Operating Group took over the DINE oil field in 2016. Since then, the company's president, David Burns, says they're shifting away from oil into helium drilling.
And what we've done since then is we converted those wells to helium. And those helium wells come from a reservoir that's deeper than the oil.
According to Burns, Capital Operating Group has already converted 8 oil wells to helium production, and the company has plans for 2 more wells over the summer.
We're not concerned about our helium. In fact, what we've done is we've reduced emissions completely on that field from, even though they were acceptable previously, they're significantly less than they were before.
Many oil wells aren't producing even a fraction of what they once did. The latest data from the Environmental Information Administration shows over nearly 4 decades, production has dropped from a high of 35,000 barrels a month to just 1,000. Now, there's a push across the Navajo Nation to move away from fossil fuel development altogether and toward renewable energy. Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez signed a proclamation this month calling clean energy on the nation a top priority. He introduced a plan to develop solar energy capture and storage.
How we can help.
Arizona Congressman Raul Grijalva says Congress should help tribal communities go green by pushing legislation to incentivize clean energy on lands like the Navajo Nation.
We need to encourage renewables. We need to assist those nations in being able to look at wind, look at solar, geothermal, etc.
Cronkite News reached out multiple times to the Navajo EPA, Minerals Department, and the Office of the President. However, we have not received any responses or granted on-the-record interviews. In Red Valley, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News.